Hello, welcome back to my series on where I review followers' chief gear. This person is in a state in the 2400s, and so they've probably been playing a while. They are an FC8, and their current power is 521, so they've been playing a while. And so if we look at their chief gear, we can see that their jacket is T2 Legendary, and their pants are T1 Legendary 1-star. So those are both, decent. Then we look at the marksman, and we see that the marksman is just a mythic, no stars, so pretty far behind the infantry gear. And the same with the staff, mythic, gold, no stars. And then the lancers are both purple, no stars, so they are really far back there. So unless she or he, I'm gonna guess it's a girl, just because she's using Reyna, and people tend to choose heroes that match their own gender. But unless they play exclusively with infantry, I would really suggest that they leave their infantry gear where it's at and bring up the marksman gear and the lancer gear. So I would suggest that they bring the marksman gear up to at least T1 red or legendary, and then bring the lancer gear up to probably gold T2 before they do anything with the infantry. Now, if they don't prioritize infantry, we've talked some about how as you move up in the generations of heroes, you will stop using, or most people shift from using 50, 20, 30. And she's right in that same range. So I would guess that when they do attack, it's often either 50-0-50, 49-2-49, or 48-4-48, something of that nature. There are a couple of different scenarios that they could use. Some of them involve lancers, some of them do not. And I don't know what the preference is for her alliance. She's probably not a rally caller, so she probably has to put whatever her rally caller prefers for rallies. So for that, it's her furnace level is what's going to impact the quality of her joiner troops, her furnace level, and the joiner hero she uses. So her chief charms are not going to impact it if she's just a joiner. It will impact it for any time she solo attacks, or if she's in Foundry and she calls a rally on one of the buildings in Foundry. So in those instances, her gear is going to matter, and her lancer gear being that far back, if there's any lancers in her rally or in her attack, she's losing the effectiveness of those lancers. So I would say that even if she doesn't use them very often, then she should probably go ahead and up her lancer gear at least to gold. I would do it to gold 2-star, gold T2, but that's my personal preference. But I would definitely say get them at least gold. And then, of course, her marksmen, I would bring them up to T1 red at least, if not slightly higher. And then let's take a look at the charms. So we're going to start with the marksman charms, and these are all 3. And then over here, They're all 3 as well. So the good thing about her is she has twins, right? Like her right side and her left side match for the most part. And then if we look at Lancers, again, those are 3 and those are 3. And then this is particularly interesting because we already knew she prioritized infantry, but look how much she has prioritized infantry. Like she's gone past level 11 charms and for this middle charm, and she hasn't even bumped this up past 3. So I definitely think that, the odds of her using only infantry for anything, for everything, is none unless she doesn't play bear. If you play bear, you're using marksman. If you're on the attack, you should be using marksman. So she really needs to bring up her marksman, and she really needs to prioritize her marksman charms and start building those up. Now, for her Lancer charms, again, I wouldn't say she should completely ignore them. I think she could bring those up to like a 6 or a 7. And then if she doesn't use them very often, only on occasion, it's fine because they're, quote, good enough. But again, if she's using a 60-40 or some variant for defense where she has Lancers, then she's going to want it up that. Some people, as you get stronger, they only use infantry in the castle. That's, I don't know what gen hero she's in. In my gen, we don't do that unless we're a maxed out well. So, so I think she should probably build up the Lancer chief gear and the Lancer charms as well, but I would prioritize the marksman because they're so far behind her infantry. So I would bring up just to recap, I would leave the infantry gear where it's at. I wouldn't make any changes right now. I would bring the marksman chief gear up to at least T1 legendary. And then I would bring up the marksman charms. I think I would get them all the way to a 7 because that's, given her power, that's probably about where she should be with her charms. Maybe even a little higher. Since she's been neglecting them, it's going to take her a minute probably. So a 7 would probably be where I would aim to start. And then once her marksman is there, then I would go and bring up the Lancers to at least gold, preferably gold T2, and bring those Lancers up to a 5 or a 6. And then once that's done, then she can go and continue to upgrade her gear and her charms. I probably would not upgrade, well, no, over here, we didn't talk about this side for infantry. She could upgrade these, right? These are still pretty low. She's got a couple of 7s, and I think that's an 8, if I remember correctly. So I think what I would recommend she do is probably leave this one as is, maybe up these to 9s and 10s. If I should have screenshotted the charm cheat sheet. All of the little shapes, they're so similar. Sometimes I get a little confused on what's what. But moving forward, I would definitely prioritize the charms on this side over the charms on that side, other than keeping those other 2 charms. I wouldn't touch that high charm there, and I have no idea what the level is because I have not researched the ones that are above level 11 11 to 16, I think. And I couldn't tell you what that one is. But I do know it's higher than 11. So that's what I would recommend for her. She does have a lot of power. So part of that is driven by her chief gear. But so maybe she's got really strong heroes. I don't have her hero information. She could have a lot of troops that's driving her power. So a lot of it could be troop power, but it could also be she might have really prioritized heroes and infantry gear and neglected her lancer and marksman gear. And things like research and furnace level, those all play into your power level as all your pets, your experts, all of that plays into your total power. So some of those other things could be higher, because looking at her chief gear, I would not have guessed that this was her power unless it was troop power. So anyway, if you have other thoughts or believe something different, you're encouraged to drop your opinion in the chat. This is a place for all of us to learn, and that includes me. And I don't know everything. I'm learning stuff every day also. And if you like my content and you feel like it could be valuable to others, please like, comment, share, get it out there so that other people have access to it as well. Have a great day.